Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm starting to feel optimistic that I'm going to become a billionaire in the near future. I had a dream about this last night. I dreamt that I was at an event and I argued with somebody at the event over something silly. I don't know what it was. But I had made this gesture while arguing with uh, somebody at a meetup event, and somebody had accidentally caught it on camera, and the choreography of what happened was just so funny. The video went viral, and I made a few $1 billion off of it. And what would I do if I inherited or somehow hit a windfall of $1 billion? Because I really think I am going to do that. Let's talk about what I'm not going to do. First of all, I'm not going to jump up and quit all of my jobs and take a lavish trip or buy a car or buy a house. I might buy a house, but it would be a reasonable purchase. It wouldn't be a lavish purchase. Let's put it that way. And believe it or not, I go replace the car, but I wouldn't replace it with anything lavish either. In fact, I might still continue to drive this car until it completely breaks down because I just don't want to harm the environment by replacing it any sooner than I need to, if you could believe it. So, and I definitely wouldn't take any sort of unusually lavish trip, right? I might go home to see my family, maybe go to Taiwan, see my grandparents, and then there was a girl that I met last time I was in Poland. Maybe go see her, but I wouldn't do anything lavish. I probably still fly coach, and I probably wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't take a trip to Disney or anything lavish like that. That's just not something I would do. Whatever the cost and whatever the amount of money that I have. Okay, let's get that out of the way. What would I do? Well, probably more or less in terms of quitting my job or anything. I wouldn't quit, but I would have more say in the job. Let's put it that way, right? So, what do I mean by that? Well, many years ago, when I first started to correct my binge eating disorder, I ran into a little bit of a problem. I didn't have that much of a hard time not eating what I didn't want to eat. The problem was that oftentimes my productivity and my creativity completely shattered when I was focused on my eating. And so if I had $1 billion in the bank, who cares? I'll still do the best that I could do, right? The other thing that might happen is that I'd be more free to choose where I work, right? So I'm very fortunate. This is Apache Junction. By the way, I actually probably wouldn't buy that house if I inherited $1 billion. I really love having these roommates here. Some of these people only live here short term. I get to see a lot of people. Mingling with people is very challenging for me. Oh yeah, the second thing I would do is go out there and mingle more with people. I would so much love to eat in the dining hall at the campus every day if I could afford it, right? And I used to curse. This was many years ago. I used to curse that you had to sign up for meal plans if you lived on campus as a student. You got to remember, 20 years ago, the campus dining halls didn't have nearly as many healthy options, though, right? So it felt like they were forcing unhealthy foods. You still have to be smart about what you eat at the campus, but there's so many more options nowadays, right? So I'd probably go out to eat more. And network with more. I have to network with people when I eat out because I have so many allergies anyway. It's nice to have somebody who remembers what they need to be careful of, and more importantly, somebody who's not going to sabotage my food. Right? There's so much wackiness that so many people are unhappy working food service. Right? I think that's really a serious threat. Right? You have so many people who are working behind the counter where they could seriously jeopardize somebody's health, right? And then you make them so unhappy that every week there's some sort of rage event. I really think that's a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. But hopefully, I have some street smarts against that, so I'm not too worried. But it's just something to think about, right? But I'd also let's see. I'd speak up for myself at work. I'd go out to network more. I would be a little bit freer. When I was negotiating the room for rent here, I if I had $1 billion in the bank, that negotiation might have turned differently, right? I'd have more walkaway power, knowing that if that doesn't work, I can write a big check somewhere else. It would just change I'd live more or less mirror lives, but with the power dynamics changed considerably, right? Now I got to think about what happened last night in my dream, because I often have dreams that later go on to happen, not exactly, but often in parallel. Last night I dreamt that again I was arguing with somebody. I get into significant arguments at times. People who don't respect my eating habits, people who don't respect my disabilities, and in my dream I had an argument, and both of us kind of went psychotic or something, and somebody else was recording something and accidentally caught both of us on film, and it went viral, and we each became billionaires, and both of us resolved our differences after we became billionaires. It seems like, in the dream at least, and I can't wait for that to happen, because I know I get into arguments a lot. I don't know if I've ever been caught on film. I probably wouldn't look good if I did. For some reason in my dream, that film went viral and made us a fortune, right? Unfortunately, I woke up today and checked the price of all of the metals that I own. None of them have gone up a lot. I asked you guys to pray for that yesterday. But I'm kind of optimistic. I'm trying to remember. Sometimes when I go to bed and I'm upset and I can't sleep, I try to remember that every day I go to sleep, the next day I'll be one day closer to becoming a billionaire. I try to remind myself that every night when I go to sleep. It does a pretty good job at putting me to sleep. And besides, the better I sleep, the better my chances of actually becoming a billionaire, because I'll be well rested, right? So it's all good. So please pray for me, and leave a suggestion, leave a comment on what you would do if you inherited $1 billion, right? I probably won't inherit $1 billion. I probably won't inherit anything. My family and I have big differences about of sexuality and marriage, and they don't want me getting involved in art, right? They think it's a poor man's profession. So it remains to be seen. But I'm pretty optimistic that one of the metals that I own is going to skyrocket one of these days. I'm kind of optimistic that, if you ask me, how do you think? Let's say you told me one day in the future I'm going to be a billionaire. You asked me to guess how I got there. I'd probably guess one of the metals or some art project that I did, right? But the last thing on my list would be that because I got angry at somebody and the video went viral, right? But I guess there is a small chance for that to happen as well, right? Especially now that I dreamt about it, right? All right. Any one of those routes, I'll be fine. I'll live with it. I prefer the metals, though, because then I won't get a heck of a lot of attention. If I become famous for my art and I make $1 billion off of it, and people always want to meet me and all that, I get a lot of, even if it's positive attention, right? Or if I became a billionaire because I got angry at somebody and a video went viral, I definitely wouldn't want that. But I'll live with it. With $1 billion, I think I can make up for that somehow, right? I can go out to the dining halls more, network with people, apologize to whoever I need to, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.